It's an honor to be here. This is my second Argentinian event, and it's my third Latin America Bitcoin conference. And I'd like to tell people that the Argentinian event back in 2013 was definitely my favorite event. Much of the other ones, very just business-oriented, and the community and the people that I've met and I work with on a daily basis in Argentina just makes it such an enjoyable event for me. I want to thank Diego and Rodolfo and everybody involved in putting these things together. I myself put on conferences and put on a lot of events, and it's just fantastic to be here. So what I'm going to be talking about today is the case for a blockchain interface. Right now in the space and for a long time, there's many things that are just a mess. There's a lot of jealousy between projects. There's a lot of different ideologies. And what I learned quite a long time ago, actually in the early 2000s from a friend of mine, was that the world is not black and white. Growing up, I was raised in a family with a lot of right and wrong, a lot of this is the right way to do things, this is the wrong way to do things. And I remember a friend of mine telling me back in the early 2000s that you look at things, telling me that I look at things in a very black and white fashion. And since then, I didn't really understand what it meant, but now I really do. And since 2012, being in the blockchain space, it's one thing I think I've brought to the table is really the thinking that things are not black and white, that things have a lot of color to them. And to see things in that light is what's led to a lot of issues in our space, whether it be people thinking, when we started Ethereum back in 2013 that, oh my God, it's not Bitcoin, what are you doing? And before Ethereum, everything was Bitcoin to me, and then with the launch of Ethereum, it's like there's more out there, and there's more other options and choice that people have. And I think that's one of the things that I've really tried to bring to this space, is not looking at things in the lens of black and white. So there's a number of issues that plague the space, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today, and kind of bring it together with three different concepts of how we fix the issues that we're seeing and witnessing in this space. Here's an example of one coin and a very similar chart that we see for a number of different tokens in the space, a number of different coins that really don't bring much value. Definitely one problem with the space is the amount of worthless projects that don't really bring much value, but people still have choice, people have the options to use them. So this on the left is really where we started off with the interface for blockchain, a standard Bitcoin wallet. And I like to look at things in the perspective of how would my dad look at this technology? And it's such an interesting space to navigate, and if you don't have the proper tools, the proper designs, and the proper interfaces, how would someone like my father, who is the type of people we're trying to bring into this space, the masses, is how I represent things. So when I think about the masses and what we need to do to bring people into the space, I think of how would someone like my dad be able to navigate the waters that we have. And the things that I design and the things that I built with my team is creating something that my dad would find useful for these technologies. And if we can get to someone like him, we have a very good chance and very good opportunity to get to the general masses. So it's dangerous waters out there. Here's an example of a few projects that people hear a lot about in the media that have just turned out to be disasters or turned to be doing things that are causing harm in our space. We are the disruptors and the problem solvers. I worked for a number of clients in the financial institution. I did a part-time gig with the Toronto Stock Exchange as Chief Digital Officer to really get an insight to see how the systems work. And what I realized is that the problems that are being solved in our space are not being done by the larger organizations. I've worked for companies like Deloitte, I've worked for different banks, doing consulting work for them on technology, and really realized that it's not them that are solving the problems out there. It's really the small communities, the disruptors, the people get into the space very early on. The kids, the people that don't care so much about money, but they really want to change the world. And that's why I see a lot of companies in the business space that are struggling to find the appropriate people that they need to get this technology into their systems, and I really see them spinning their wheels. And it's a thing that's become very prevalent with clients that I've worked for. It's very hard to find the talent and find the people that are needed in order to create the breakthroughs and to solve the problems that we have. If we don't get this to the masses, there's a very good chance that we're going to end up having ourselves disrupted. It's key that we create the systems, the processes, the designs in order to take this technology to the next level. And this is what I'm making the case for a common blockchain interface, which will enable the masses to understand this technology. People like my dad to come and say, okay, I get it now, and I understand why I'm doing this, and here's the tools that I can use in order to understand this technology. So I want to base what I'm going to talk about today on 3 different areas, that being of design, unity, and education. There are 3 elements in the projects that I work on that I try to bring together with the ultimate goal of taking this technology that we're passionate about to the masses. So I want to go through the history of the interface in terms of technology. It started off with systems computers where no visual elements, no displays, no real interaction or very limited interaction between humans and between the computers. The initial first interactions with punch card systems with computers that were used to work with the designs that they had back then. And as things progressed, we started seeing things like visual elements. We started seeing GUIs, graphical user interfaces, that people could start interacting with the technology. Here's the first examples of the first browsers for the internet. So like the GUI did for the personal computer and brought it to life for the masses, the web browser really brought together the visual elements of the internet that we're also used to using now, and people can look at it and say, okay, I understand, this is now a gateway, it's an interface for the internet, so I can now see the information and the resources that I need. And this wasn't available until the first browsers existed. So this was my first project in this space. This was in 2012, coming off the heels of Satoshi Dice, the first provably fair gaming system built around Bitcoin. Satoshi Dice worked by sending from a wallet to an address, and if you were to win in the gambling site, you would actually get money sent back to you through your wallet. But it had no graphical user interface. And in the early days when I first got into Bitcoin, 2012, me and my partner were looking at it and say, okay, what can we do to get into this space, create some business ideas? And the first thing that we tackled, like a lot of people do in this space, is the gambling space was really hot in 2012, and that's what we decided to go into. So we created a gamified version, visual experience, leaderboards, contests, and we ended up creating a really cool game that we sold a couple months later, and that was my first exit in the Bitcoin space. And interesting story is the sale that I did with that actually funded quite a bit of the Ethereum project for the first many months that we were working towards the crowd sale. So it was, how do you create a visual experience around this technology? And what was cool about Satoshi Circle was that you've got a personal deposit address up there, you're instantly sending to a QR code and you start playing right away. And you've got a secret URL system at the top there which acts as your account, and that's what you bookmark to get back to your account. So I'm also very keen on removing friction points from software, removing the friction areas. I hate usernames and passwords. All the software that we create now in the wallet space at Jaxx doesn't have usernames or passwords. They're optional security levels that you can add further on. But it's about getting people into what you're trying to show them and doing it with the least amount of friction as possible. This is an example of one of the first HTML5 wallets that we created. It's called Rush Wallet. And this is available on multiple different platforms. Again, a simple user experience. You have a private URL that enables you to get back to your account. You can deposit instantly. And there you have a wallet that you can create many of them without needing to download anything. You can use it on multiple different devices. And this is something that we've had hundreds of thousands of users use over the last few years. And we actually modeled EthereumWallet.com, which was the first real Ethereum wallet based on Rush Wallet. This was our first product, and this is actually the product that brought Bitcoin into the browser. This was called CryptoKit. The cool thing about CryptoKit was it was a Chrome extension that enabled you to stay on the page that you were shopping on without having to copy addresses or move back and forth between tabs. It would automatically pick up the amount, the code, and offer one-click payments so that you wouldn't need to get off the page that you're working in. Another example of using an interface to interact with web browsers so that you can send your payments very quickly and easily without friction. Another example of an interface that we created, this is called DCentral TV. The point of this was to create a one-stop dashboard, almost like a Bloomberg terminal, for everything you might need in the blockchain space. You've got your headline news, you've got your prices at the bottom, video, prices at the top, Twitter feeds, and charts. Something in one place, that interface, that you have everything you need in one area. So there's a lot of hype in our space. There's a lot of projects, there's a lot of things that just don't have any merit. It happens with any technology that's emerging, is people try to get on board, and a lot of them do it for the wrong reasons. So it's about getting through that, and how do we get to the people, get to the masses, to really show them the technology that we're really passionate about. So, unity. As I stated before, world is not black and white. There's many different projects. There's a lot of jealousy between the different projects, and it's something that really doesn't help out the entire community as a whole. I realized again when we started Ethereum that people weren't happy in the Bitcoin space, and then with Ethereum, even the community that's evolving around that seems very tight to the whole Ethereum project. Now, I'm no longer involved with Ethereum. That's been since January 2015. But I saw the same formations as the Bitcoin space back then, where it was like one thing or the other. No, we only care about this. You got people coming out saying, I'm 100% Ethereum. And to me, it's just a narrow-sighted and a very simple point of view that doesn't help the whole ecosystem progress. We're at a time right now where it would be a very silly thing to pick winners or losers. The technologies are so new, they're being tested. If you look at the Ethereum space right now, the whole number of forks going on, the unknowns, people building products just on top of Ethereum, really put themselves in a position where if something were to happen to the platform or happen to any platform, or it goes out or something big happens, they're in a lot of trouble because that's what they've been building around for. That's actually the only platforms that they've been working on. And again, very narrow-minded to take that approach in such an early technology. We need a unified community with an extended vision, a very whole vision. And the products that we create right now in the wallet space with Jaxx, multi-token, multi-platform, embrace the entire technology, the entire ecosystem, and don't pick the winners or losers right now, because who knows what's going to emerge. And if you do tie yourself down to one thing, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Education. Right now, I don't know where to send my dad to get information on the technology. People ask me, hey, where can I go to learn about it? And it's really all over the place. The media doesn't do a very good job in our space of showing accuracy. A lot of it is influenced by different projects that the media companies are working for. There's really not a good source of education, not a very good source or one place that people can go to get an unbiased view and information on the entire ecosystem. So the solution, I think, comes down to three things. It's good design and good elements that people can actually understand and learn, people like my dad. Unity, bringing the communities together under a unified approach for the technology and not being so polarized around the technologies they're working with. And educating. I've done 110 events over the last few years, conferences, meetups. It's really become a place that people can learn and people can come together. I have a space called DCentral in Toronto, which has become a hub in Toronto, in Canada, for the whole blockchain ecosystem. And that's something that we launched in 2014. It was actually the home and birthplace of Ethereum. So what I am proposing today and what we've been working on for a while is something called the DCentral project. The DCentral project's goal and aim is to bring all the communities together and offer the tools and resources for all the different platforms out there so that they can emerge. It's unbelievable, but it's something like a Litecoin. Now, it doesn't matter whether you think it's something that has value or not. It's about people having choice, and if they want to use it, they can actually do it. But something like Litecoin didn't have any products or wallets, really, that people could use. And last week or 2 weeks ago, we launched Litecoin on 9 different platforms so that people now have a Litecoin wallet on many different platforms, Android, Chrome extensions, Apple. And it's really given that community a boost, and it's given them something that they can use. We've also done the same thing with Dash. We've got Monero coming out on it soon. So it's really about providing the tools for the entire community to use, and it's about providing choice and value for the different communities. We also were the first to bring out the Ethereum wallets. We brought out Ethereum Classic as well. And we brought out the DAO maybe a little bit too early, and I can't wait to get rid of that one out of our wallet. So it comes down to 3 different things for us. It's a platform that we're building for the entire ecosystem. We're building 2 hardware pieces for the entire ecosystem. And we're building what we want to be the blockchain interface. A one-stop shop where different community members from different projects can go and get the tools and sources that they need in order to help advance the technologies that they believe in. So This is the first item that we haven't announced yet, and it's the first time we are putting it out there. This is called the Jaxx Cube. And we're considering this your world computer. It's going to be a device that's going to have full nodes for whichever community you support, any technologies you support. With our wallets, when we put out a new token, we're not just putting out the wallet, we're actually putting out the full back-end infrastructure and APIs for every different coin and token that we're bringing out. So we've got Ethereum APIs, we've got Ethereum relay systems, we've got Litecoin, we've got Dash, all the different ones that we put out, again, and not just about here's a wallet and we're using other people's services to do it, but we're creating the full nodes and we'll be able to ship, you know, our product. It's going to, think of this as your life in a box for the future. A place where you're going to have all your assets, where you're in full control of the keys as you move forward through life in the digital space, where eventually you're going to have your contracts, you're going to have every element of it. And our goal is to actually incentivize node creation. It's something I don't think it's been done very well, or people don't understand how to really do it, but that's something that we're tackling, is how do we create more and more nodes for the different projects that we're supporting. I had some demos of the actual product here, but they're stuck in customs right now, unfortunately. This is the Jaxx Ice Cube. So this goes along with the Jaxx Cube, but this is the cold storage device that we announced a few months ago, actually. What this is a completely disconnected hardware solution that stores your private keys for any token that we support, and it connects via QR code and screen so that there's no physical connection between the two devices. So what you're doing is you're initiating a transaction on the Cube or on your Jaxx wallet. It then is scanning an unsigned transaction from the Cube, signing it with the private key, and then sending a screenshot of the QR code sign back to the hot device. So this is going to be our entry into the market of hardware wallets, and I think what we're going to offer is the ability for people to store many, many different types of tokens for any projects that we start supporting in the future. This is our flagship product. This is the Jaxx wallet. Again, we're available on 9 different platforms across many different devices. We hold a total of 8 tokens right now. After my presentation, we're going to be announcing there's another token that we're adding. And we're also announcing a project called DCentral Station. DCentral Station, when I talk about the education, when I talk about the hub that needs to be created for the different currencies and the place where I can send my dad to learn about all the technologies, that's going to be DCentral Station. It's going to be a new platform that easily onboards people into the different platforms and into the space. It's going to be heavily gamified, and no, we're not going to do an ICO for our product. There's too many of them going on right now. There's too many fundraisers, money coming in for launching projects, and I always like doing things differently. Aside from Ethereum and the crowdfund there, all my projects that we operate, we've got 20 full-time staff working on DCentral and working on Jaxx, completely self-funded, and that's the way we're going to continue to do things. We won't do pre-sales. We're not going to do an ICO. In fact, we're going to be launching a native token for Jaxx and for the DCentral Station, but it's going to be more of a reward system. And it's going to be something that we're going to be giving away for people that are helping to build the community. And it's going to be actually used in our wallet to add pro services and to add other elements. We're going to have trading bots inside of DCentral Station. We're going to have all the tools that people need from the different communities. These are the integration and community partners that we've already established for Jaxx. We're announcing today that we're going to be doing also Trezor integration for Jaxx. We've already announced Ledger integration. So even though we're coming up with our hardware wallet, it doesn't matter. We're still going to be supporting the other hardware wallets that are out there as well. We've got already Shapeshift integration inside of our wallet. Soon Coinbase integration will be in there so that people can buy with debit cards and credit cards directly inside their wallet to onboard from the fiat space. And this is the community partners that we are going to be starting to work with and that we have been already adding in the elements into Jaxx. So as I said, we've got Monero coming up. We've already launched Augur, Dash, Ethereum Classic. And we're going to take a break from adding tokens soon after we get Ripple out of the way, after we get Lisk is coming up this week, and after we get Monero. Monero's been the tricky one for us, but that's one that we want to get in there really quickly. So can I get the rootstock guys? Are they in the room? You guys want to come up? I'm not sure. You guys coming? So, I've had the honor and privilege. to work with these guys for the last long time. I've known Sergio for a few years now. He did some initial work with the Ethereum audits. He did the initial work, his team, for Jaxx before we launched out of beta. I've known the Godfather for quite a long time as well. Yeah. And today we are announcing that we've got the rootstock integration on testnet live in Jaxx. So So you can now download on 7 different platforms the newest version of Jaxx, and you can enable the testnet. And you can go to the faucet. Do we have the address for the faucet? Faucet.rsk.com. .co, and you can get some testnet there. Just send the address to it, and then you can play around with it. And then we will be working towards full integration of rootstock. And it's kind of interesting because it's very rare that a coin launches like their testnet right away, and there's a number of wallets that can actually support it, and it gives people the ability to try things out, because there's projects that have been years without a good wallet in place. So our goal is to help bring that forward. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Oh,
much.
sorry, one more thing. I want to give a shout out to the Coin Fabric team over there. They are our full-time team that works in Argentina here on all of our back-end infrastructure that's creating. So the guys over there, it's been fantastic really working with them on the team. I like efficiencies, and I like working in the same place as people. It's something that we really struggled with Ethereum going all over the world, but to have my team back at DCentral and work with these guys, it's really been seamless, and it's been really great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.